Please.
Welcome everyone, welcome to Ozsports FM. I'm Ben and here's Jeremy. He's going to read out the news.
In AFL, Brent Harvey returns from a 3-week suspension to face a depleted Geelong side without Steve Johnson and Hamish McIntosh. Port Adelaide have included Matthew White for their semi-final clash with Fremantle at Patterson Stadium. Pakistani cricketer Saeed Amal has been ruled out of their series against Australia after being banned for chucking. And Australia is being investigated for tanking at the FIBA World Cup after they lost to Angola in the group stages. First up today, we'll be talking about the SANFL. Ben, what have we got? What's happening in the SANFL?
Well, this weekend we've got Port versus South. It's this Sunday at Adelaide Oval. Starts at 2:40. South are going to be pretty confident this week. They've gone six-game winning streak, and they're actually the favourites, even though Port are the minor premiers.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As you were telling me earlier, South haven't won 2 finals in a row since 1979. So, bit of an interesting game ahead. I mean, let's hope they win and play against Norwood in the final.
Yeah, true. They played really well on the weekend. I went to that match and reported on it. They were just really, really dominant. They kicked the first 7 goals, I think it was, and they played Sturt. They just didn't. Sturt couldn't kick into gear. The pressure was really high. They had far more tackles. I mean, for a team that had more possession and kicked far more goals, they still outdid them on the tackle count as well, so they were really fierce and competitive the whole match.
Yeah, that's really good. I remember, I think Sturt beat South earlier on in the year at the Oval, and it was a really close match, so they're both really close sides. And yeah, who stood out for South last week?
That's hard. Their captain Murphy, he was really good. He kicked a few. He's a right footer, and he was running he was running in the Eddie Betts pocket basically, about 45 metres out. Dobbed it on the left, and it went straight through. It was ridiculous. He was a standout, and I think he maybe motivated his players to go a bit further than what they would have.
Yeah. So Port, they'll obviously have players from the Power. Jarman Impey, does he play? Will he play? He's an emergency this year, so this week, so he'll have to go to Perth. Are they going to miss some of those players?
Yeah, definitely. When there's you notice at the start of the season they didn't have any injuries in the Power side, and you notice that in the SANFL because they were really dominant. They didn't lose a game for their first 8 or 9, just like the Power. They were really forceful, dominant. Then the Power got a few injuries throughout the season, and you notice that in their state side because they late on in the season they lost to West Adelaide, who finished bottom of the ladder. They lost by about 17 points, and they lost a couple of crucial matches late, which almost lost the minor premiership too.
Yeah. So they finished top and they had the week off, and then they played Norwood last week and lost to them. What happened there?
Oh, that was a great match as well. It was a game of momentum flows. At the start, I believe Norwood had the better start, and then it switched over. Port dominated probably the second and third quarter, and they're up by 17 points in the last quarter. I can't remember who it was now, but there's a player who kicked 3 straight goals and basically got them going, and they kicked a couple more and just they looked really strong as well, actually.
Yeah.
And they played a few. They've already played 2 times this year, and the last time they met, Norwood just couldn't kick straight. They kicked 6 goals, 15, and Port didn't look that good, but they were able to kick straight, and they looked like a side that were top because they could actually force a win out the way. Whereas this week it was the complete opposite.
Yeah, because they're up by 3 goals at 3/4 time and dropped the game by how much was it again?
I think it was a goal or 2. They didn't lose by much, but
a loss is a loss, isn't it?
A loss, yeah,
especially
definitely.
when you finish top, you've had that rest. That the pressure would be on them this week against South Adelaide as well, because if they lose, they've gone out in 2 straight matches without getting a win in the finals. And it's been a while since Port have actually done well in the finals and done well in the season. Anyway, that's SNFL. We're just going to head to a message from our sponsors, and we'll be back to preview the AFL and recap last week's matches.
Here's where we are. After the highs and lows, ins and outs, convincing wins and bruising defeats. Now's when your team needs you most. So as you go into the finals, don't go quietly. Go in brilliant sunshine, linking voices for a victorious version of your club's September song. Or go face a 4-goal breeze, warming your hands with thunderous applause, because they can't hear you from home. But don't go quietly. Go let your voice carry across a roaring sea of faithful and first-timers. Or go push the boundaries, because no matter who you're drawn to play against, your team will draw inspiration, passion energy just from you being there. So don't go quietly. Go so there's no mistaking your allegiance. Ready to reward every winning goal. Kick, tackle or mark. Or go and leave nothing in reserve. Not when you're this close to end of season glory. No, you don't go quietly. Go kicking and screaming, begging for a miracle that won't banish you to the premiership outer for another season. Or go in triumph to look into your teammates' eyes, into each supportive face, as the magnitude of all you've achieved begins to sink in. Just don't go quietly.
And welcome back to Ozsports FM. We're here to talk about the AFL this weekend. Final series, first match, is tonight, and it's Geelong versus North Melbourne.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. The two Scott brothers against each other.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good game. I think after North Melbourne's win against Essendon last week was a real fight, and they showed a bit of courage, and they came back from 32 points down after in the third quarter. Big Ben Brown, the new tall forward for North Melbourne, kicked I think 3 goals in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I heard of that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, so for a young guy, he's played 9 games, and I think he's probably kicked almost 20 goals.
How old is he? Do you know?
I think he's in his early 20s. I'm not 100% sure. Brent Harvey's also back for North Melbourne after a 3-game suspension for dumping a Western Bulldogs player on his head a few weeks ago.
That'll be a big boost for the team, having your number one man captain back. Is he a captain?
No, Andrew Swallow is our captain. So he's in for Ben Jacobs, the export player. So Ben Jacobs' performance last week was a bit below par. So he's out. And I think it will be a boost. Maybe not just a boost in personnel, but also a moral boost for the team.
How do you think they'll go this weekend against Geelong with the big victory, maybe having that to spur them on, having Boomer Harvey back?
Yeah, so Geelong have also got a couple of outs. Obviously, Steve Johnson is out, and also Hamish McIntosh, their big ex-North Melbourne tall player, so ruckman. So I think they've got a good chance, and if they play as well as they played in the third and fourth quarter, they'll definitely match Geelong. If they play the way they played in the first half of the Essendon game, I think that Geelong are a better team than Essendon and will take advantage of that and have a better lead, a bigger lead.
And having Stevie J out is a big loss for their side. I mean, I know they've got all their other players, they've got a huge list, and they're all premiership players, most of them are premiership players, and they're going to be confident. They're the sort of team that can always grind out a win, but having Stevie J out, it can be a big loss. He's the one who can snatch a goal from the pocket that you really need in the dying moments. So,
what's your tip for this one?
Well, I don't know. Considering maybe Geelong might be a bit annoyed because they haven't been able to play at Sydney Stadium like they were, well, not promised, but the AFL said they'd get a game there, so they might be a bit pissed off with them, so they might spur them on. But then North Melbourne have got that big win, and you saw at the end of the game they were really, really motivated and pumped. And who was it? Did a really weird celebration.
Oh, Drew Petrie.
Petrie, that was just...
It's something from Old School, I think. Frank the Tank, I think it is, from Old School Will Ferrell character.
I just remember seeing that earlier in the week on the TV, and it just in slow motion replay. Just really odd. But yeah, they did look really motivated, and if they do get up, I don't know. They have Sydney. They have Sydney to play at Sydney, so
yeah, that could be an interesting game. We beat them there earlier on in the season. I think on that day, I think Lance Franklin actually got reported on that day, but it was a wet day out there at the SCG, and they had a victory. But I think Sydney had a few outs, and I think Kurt Tippett wasn't playing, and what's his name? The Brownlow medalist. I can't remember his name.
Some Goods.
Goods. Adam Goods. Yeah, Adam Goods wasn't playing either. So it will be a tough match for either Geelong or North Melbourne, whoever wins. And
who do you reckon will win though?
Between Geelong and North Melbourne.
Yes.
As a North Melbourne supporter, I'd hope that North Melbourne win. But if we don't play our best football, then I think Geelong will probably take the cake and face Sydney next week. So we've also got this weekend the other semi-final. Port travel to WA to take on Fremantle.
Now, before we get into the game, there's have you heard of the news of what Singapore Airlines have done? They've teamed up together
Yeah.
And Singapore Airlines have allowed any Port fan who's willing to go to the game, because apparently the fares are up to about 1,500.
Yeah,
so they've
somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500.
And that's just to travel to Perth from Adelaide. Singapore Airlines, even though they have no domestic, are allowing people to fly to Singapore and from Singapore to Perth for $1,000.
Yeah, I think it's like they made it under $1,000, so it was like $950 or $990 or something like that.
Yeah.
But interesting marketing ploy. I think I'd say a few people would take it up.
Definitely.
And I think there's also the option to stay a couple of days in Singapore and you get cheaper accommodation. So, maybe a quick holiday to Singapore and back down to Perth for the game.
Well, it's good. It's good for Singapore, and I guess it's good for the club. And if more fans do go because of this, then they'll have more away supporters, so it'll bring a better environment to the stadium.
But it also brings into question Qantas and Jetstar and Virgin all taking advantage of football supporters.
Oh, definitely. If I was a Port supporter, actually, first 10 minutes of the game when they're up by 7 goals, I probably would just book the flight secretly before they spiked up. But anyway.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. Maybe Ken Hinkley was buying their tickets at halftime. So Hayden Ballantyne is out for Fremantle with a broken jaw, but Port's Matt White is still playing.
That mustn't be that bad a break for Matt White if he's able to play after.
Yeah, I think it was just a fracture, which still hurts, but he's a tough bloke. I'm sure he'll deal with it.
Valentine's not though. I saw it. He got a big shoulder straight there. He was down on the ground, straight to the jaw, and he wouldn't get up. He needed help by the physios and everything.
Trainer, yeah.
So yeah, but the match it's tomorrow night at 7:15, I believe, at Patterson Stadium. How do you think it'll go?
Oh, it's going to be a tough match. We saw a couple of weeks ago Port travelled to Fremantle, and I think travel may be an issue as well. They've gone back here, played Richmond, even though it wasn't a very difficult match, and then back again to Perth. But then also Fremantle been to Sydney and then back again. Yeah. Both teams, I'd say, are pretty tired. They had the last match was really, really hard game and high pressure, high intensity. So we'll see, I guess.
And Nathan Fyfe just won the most valuable player this week as well, so I'm sure he'll be wanting to show why he was voted best player, because obviously he's had a tough season, can't win the Brownlow.
Yeah, that's it. If he's won that, he's a good chance of actually getting the votes for the Brownlow and being ineligible. And I don't think that's happened since Corey McKernan, would be at least almost 20 years ago, when he would have won the Brownlow, but he'd been suspended. So,
oh wow, I didn't know that. So that's news.
So it's been a while. I don't know. What's your tip for that one?
Well, Port had a great start, as everyone knows, and they've sort of gone off a bit. But last week against Richmond, they were a dominant force, and they did 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks ago? The last week they travelled to Perth.
Yeah, they really matched Fremantle, and they only lost because I think they had about a 10-minute period where they just went quiet. Fremantle took advantage of that.
I did see, though, with about 15 minutes left, they were down by 30 or 40 points, but they were able to shut it down. So I didn't watch the match, but that could be due to the fact that maybe Fremantle started to turn off the Jets a bit. I'm not sure. But even saying that, it'll still give Port a lot of confidence knowing that even if they are down by a little bit against Fremantle, they can still peg it back and really give it to them. So I'm going to have to give it to Fremantle just because I think it's at their home ground, but Port could definitely, if they show up with their best game, they could definitely win this one.
Well, there's different, I don't know, Fremantle are a very defensive side, so if they get that lead, they can stop and they can really punish teams. But then it's also interesting, if Port lose and North Melbourne lose this week, that's the bottom 4 of the 8 out. And just like that, so is there really a need to have 8 teams in the finals? But that brings that question.
Crows in 1998 or 97?
Both years, actually.
Well, 97 we came from 8th to win it, so there's no point. Yeah, we did. We finished 8th.
No, I don't think so.
We're the only team in the AFL to have done it. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look this up and show you.
I don't think you're right on that one. I don't think they finished 8th because 8 plays number 1. So we used to play number 1 in those days. So it was 1 versus 8. Yeah, we can check that in the break. Anyway, we'll go to a song now, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to settle this argument. No way.
No, they
didn't. They finished 5th or 6th.
One of the years we finished 8th.
No, it's not true. We're at a song, right, aren't we? Welcome back to Ozsports FM. I've got a bit of news here. Ben was incorrect when talking about Adelaide Crows winning the premiership from 8.
Yeah, okay.
They finished 4th in 1997 and 5th in 1998. And yes, 5th, they still, finishing
Still a good
outside the
effort.
top 4
Still a
and
good
it is
effort.
great, but
Well,
just to prove my point.
well, I might have a bit of a morning brain on this. Just say that.
They beat North Melbourne in the grand final, who finished first. And in
St.
1997, they beat St Kilda. So
We're still drilling us over it.
anyway, let's move on. We're going to talk about cricket now. So Australia are heading to Pakistan in October to take them on in a 2020 series and one-day series.
Now, I saw Phil Hughes has been left out of the squad, but I thought he played well over in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
sorry.
he made a 50 and I think an 80. He failed him, I think, one. I think he made 11 and it was off 30 balls or something. But other than that, he had it really well. The thing is, Shane Watson's back in.
So they brought an all-rounder instead.
Yeah, that's if he's not injured. This is the problem with Shane Watson. If he's injured and can only bat, then what's the point? You may as well have Phil Hughes there.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue that it is because Shane Watson plays for New South Wales, but let's not go down that road because that road gets me a little bit fired up. George Bailey has also stepped down as a 2020 captain and player. He's just going to concentrate on the one days and trying to get himself back into the test team.
Do you reckon that'll help him?
Definitely, because concentrating on three forms of the game is quite difficult. You're constantly playing cricket for starters, so you're a bit tired. And at his age, well, he's not old, but at his age, the body starts to
deteriorate
a little bit.
As a captain of the T20 side, would you want to give that up? I don't think I'd want to give up the captaincy, especially if Australia.
It's not the test. Cricket. It's not the test though. It's 2020.
I know it's not the baggy green, but it's representing Australia as a captain.
I think a lot of people would rather play Test cricket than actually. Test cricket is the pinnacle of cricket. It's 2020 is great for a bit of a hit, and it's good for the bank account.
I think it's good for cricket in general for people who are quite into it, who are trying to win them over. But
test matches are like they're almost like chess. Like it's 5 days full on. Like you really testing yourself. Excuse the pun. But then 2020, it's great to be the captain and everything, but I think he'd rather put on that baggy green and head out. And I mean, we've got Ashes next year, 2015, in England. So yeah, I'd give him a good chance of making that team if he really performs for Tasmania.
And replacing him is Aaron Finch. He's been named the new T20 captain. What do you think?
Victorian.
Victorian. How do you think he'll go?
He's a good batsman. I haven't really seen him much as a captain as such.
Yep.
I think he may have captained Victoria a little bit, but I think Cameron White normally takes that position. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. His first test is Pakistan, which aren't a really strong 2020 side, but they're not bad. I think subcontinent.
And we've also got an inclusion that I've seen is an Adelaide Strikers player, Cameron Boyce. He's debuting as spinner.
Yep, leg spinner. He is a Queensland player, but obviously with all the movements with the 2020, he plays for the Adelaide Strikers.
Trying to follow the IPL, I think, a little bit, are we?
The IPL, yeah, a little bit, I think so. It's a bit different with not having the state sides. It kind of loses a bit of its like rivalry and almost patriotism for your club.
It's happened in AFL too, though. We've lost the state of origin. It seems like it seems to be going out the door.
Yeah, it's all like a franchise sort of thing. So he's been picked ahead of James Muirhead, the Victorian, who played a few 2020s last summer here against England. But yeah, I think they're just trying to give a few different people an opportunity, and it's a good starting place. So play a bit of 2020, you can work your way into maybe the one day side. So we'll see how he goes too. It's been played in the United Arab Emirates because obviously nobody can go to Pakistan still. That would
been going on a long time, hasn't it?
It'd be almost 10 years, I think.
10 years?
Almost. Like, they've been playing out of Pakistan, I think, since there was a few issues with the Sri Lankan team over there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that would have an effect on the Pakistani team, I think.
Definitely. Not having a home ground, home advantage for this long, that could be That could be what would be putting them back a little bit, maybe on the cricket rankings as well.
Yeah, they've improved, though, their tests. I think the last time we played them in Tests, we played them in England, and we lost the first Test match. Okay. So they are improving. Obviously, without the spinner, Saeed Amal.
You mentioned that in the news. He's been suspended for his bowling action.
Yeah, so he's an off spinner. He may have the same issues as Matai Mulladuran with his Doosra. It's one of the most difficult balls to bowl, and obviously this is where they come undone.
Of course.
So he has to have tests on his, and obviously change his action.
Yeah.
And
how long is the ban for?
There's no specific time. It's until his action passes the test.
He's 36 now as well, so it's going to be a bit harder. Like, when you're younger, it's easier to sort of manipulate and change yourself. But once you hit an older age, you've been bowling like that for your whole life. It's
an interesting one. I mean, how come it wasn't picked up earlier?
Yeah, of course. Maybe has the ruling changed in the past
No,
years?
I don't think so. There's so much. They check so much, and there's so much focus on some people's bowling action. I mean, there's been like Brett Lee, Sean Tate have all had their actions examined and stuff.
Sort of
yeah, so it's a hard one, and I mean, there's so much technology now that can analyse somebody's action.
How do you think this series is going to pan out for the T20 one day? Do you reckon Australia have this one, or do you reckon it could go either way?
United Arab Emirates is an interesting place. It's going to be really hot. Well, it's in the desert, basically. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think Australia will obviously, again, like Zimbabwe, be testing players out for the One Day World Cup in 2015 here in Australia. 2020s aren't really Australia's strong point.
Yeah, I've heard we're not too good at that. We're trying to...
I think we were 6th or something recently in the the 2020 rankings.
To be honest, 6 isn't that bad in the world. But for Australian cricket, you look at 6, you go, that's a little bit down.
Yeah, especially when at the time our one day squads were first. One day and test squads were first.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, the quality is there. It's just that we just haven't quite got the game right.
We've definitely got some good players in T20. It's just, it's putting it together, and 2020s can really easily go either way. I mean, I think there was a stat that the team batting first wins, well, I don't know the exact percentage, but wins a lot more than the team batting second, because if you make a high score, there's the pressure on to go out and you've got to hit. I mean, if you make 200, you've got to hit 10 and over.
It's pretty intimidating to look at the scoreboard and go, oh, I have to hit 220, we've got 20 overs to do it.
Yeah, so I think that really makes it hard. And there was some talk a few years ago about a few rule changes to make it even, but, well, we'll see. Anyway, we'll head to a quick advert or song. We'll head to a song and then a message from our sponsors, and we'll be back to talk about Australia at the FIBA World Championships.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
That went well. Like, we were able to, because we did AFL and cricket like in the last 2 breaks. That's gone quite well. Like, we've talked quite a bit.
Yeah. We won't talk. Oh, I'll go over to.
We haven't over talked either. We've just sort of.
I'll go to the FIBA World Cup because there's been a few upsets and stuff.
We've brought a few up.
We've talked about ice hockey, NHL.
We've also brought in a
few
stats people know about as well.
Yeah. So it was good about the little bit of banter about the Crows.
It's great. It's always good to be able to bring that into it as well.
We mentioned the AFL, the World Cup, Australia. About my back. Should we take a photo?
Yeah, but none of you are in it.
This is so slimy.
So, next one we're on about basketball. Now, that's interesting as well. I don't know. That's just, I can't believe it.
How are they going to prove that, though? It's such a hard thing to prove. Somebody's tanked.
Yeah.
I can understand resting the players because they had another game on Sunday, but obviously it hasn't worked for them anyway.
But, it's weird because this is a tournament, so, it's not like you're tanking to get extra players like the AFL. You're tanking to make yourself progress further, so it's not tanking, it's more just smart gameplay, or what they thought would be. Who they lost? They lost...
Turkey. 65-64.
There it is.
Oh, and then they lost to Angola. Upset for Spain, I'd say, with all the NBA stars.
Wait, what?
Spain lost to France.
Oh, they play NBA players?
Yeah, the two brothers. I can never remember their names.
Awesome. So FIBA.
And then we have another song. We'll add.
Probably add.
And then the last thing will be good on.
Yep.
Do you want me to introduce?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Feel like this.
I'm just going to be like, welcome back to Ozsports FM. You're here with Jeremy and Ben, and we're talking about the latest investigation into Australia by FIBA. What do you think of that,
Jeremy? Is it odd?
It's
What?
Tanking Gate.
Tanking. I think it's interesting.
I don't think they're gonna.
I don't think it's
gonna happen.
What can you do?
Like you go, we dropped a few players because we thought we'd be able to make it through, and
20 seconds.
It's at 40.
20. Sounds shot to 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's hungry.
10.
9.
5 ish. Hello and welcome back to Ozsports FM. You're here with Jeremy and Ben, and we are talking about the latest Australian investigation made by FIBA. What do you think of this situation, Jeremy?
Yeah, so this is the FIBA World Cup in basketball, obviously. So Australia lost to Angola. We mentioned it last week. They lost to Angola, but by only a couple of points. But they were up by 15 at half time, and they had rested a few of their best players. So Aaron Baines and a couple of others.
We also had a couple of outs at the time, a few players that didn't get to play in the tournament.
Yeah, so Paddy Mills and
Andrew Bogut.
Yeah,
so not our full strength side, but we're up by 15 points at half time.
Yeah, against Angola, who are the top ranked African team, but not ranked very highly in FIBA. I'm not sure exactly what number, but
I don't understand how this can be claimed as tanking for the fact that they're not playing. It's not like the AFL where they're actually playing for draft picks or anything. This is a tournament where they believe we're going to rest these players because we can beat this side. Therefore, we can progress further.
And you can also argue that we just rested players because they played 3 or 4 games in consecutive days, and then they were playing. I think it's the round of 16 against Turkey on Sunday.
Well, wasn't the thing that if they actually lost, they'd play Turkey, but if they won, they'd have to face the US in the round of 16,
I think so.
And there would be a better chance of them beating Turkey, which is where you could say they've been tanking, but isn't that just well thought play? You say they're resting players, but isn't that also well thought out because they can progress further into the tournament?
Definitely, but obviously trying to lose a game doesn't look very good for the sport.
It's not very Australian, is it? Either that Aussie fighting spirit we have.
Yeah, I think that's such a hard one because the US are good. If it was any other team, I don't think they'd take much notice of it.
No, of course, and the USA have the best side in the whole time.
They created the sport. They've got the NBA, which is the best league in the world by far.
They call it the World Championship, so I guess you can say,
the
best league.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, USA defeated Lithuania in the semis, 96-68. So they thrashed somebody in the semi-finals. The big shock is Spain losing to France in the quarterfinals, I think it was. So France plays Serbia in the second semi, which is today or tonight at 10 o'clock. So.
And just going back, we can also argue now the fact that we did lose the next round anyway. We lost to Turkey 65-64. Sorry, I thought it'd just drag us back there. Turkey did score 2 late 3-pointers, I believe, just to peg it back.
There was that taking?
Well, not really, because we're not in the tournament anymore. If we were going further, they may claim it as that. But Turkey are a good side, aren't they?
They're reasonable, but they're probably about the same. They're a reasonable side, but then they lost to Lithuania in the next round, and we would have. I think the way we played against Angola, if we were playing to our best, and the way we played against Turkey, I think we really would have struggled against Lithuania. Bronze medalists a fair while ago. I think they were silver or bronze at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, and so they've been a reasonable side.
Yeah, all right. I didn't know that. I thought they were. Yeah, I didn't know if they were that good a side, but clearly they've done some damage in the past.
Obviously, a lot of their players play in the European.
Yeah, in the Euro League.
Yeah,
that's quite strong.
Yeah, definitely. It'll probably come second after the NBA.
Yeah, I hear there's players that go over there to play instead of college. There'll be some players 18, 19 that go there play. I think there's a 16-year-old who's being picked up by someone in the next couple of years to play there before making the move to the NBA. Apparently, he's supposed to be one of the next best players.
Okay, so missing the whole college thing and just going to play professional basketball first, and then
extra money, I guess.
Yeah. It worked for what's the Miami Heat? Oh, not Miami. LeBron James didn't go to college either. So.
Oh, didn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think he went straight from high school.
Yeah, well, he's pretty good. Unlike his ex-compatriot Dwayne Wade, who had to play his way through college, and he kind of stepped it up. He did quite a good job.
Yeah, definitely. But this is the thing: USA have got all those sort of players on their team. They're going to be hard to beat.
Of course, they've got so many so many different leagues and academies, I
Yeah.
should say, to bring them through. So you play one place and then all of a sudden you step up to the next level. You've got another college. Then you've got all these other colleges that have all this money. They're trying to lure you in.
There's so much money in it, and there's so development, and they've just got. I mean, they're way ahead of everybody else, and it's almost like Australia, like the AFL World Cup that we've been having here in Australia. Like Australia doesn't play in it because we're just going to win anyway.
Exactly. So yeah. Well, I don't think the USA would not want to play on that because they want to be able to stand up and say they're the best team in the world.
Well, you can't see the US ever giving up that, can you?
No.
So they'll either meet France or Serbia in the final.
Who do you reckon will come out trumps over that?
Well, France beating Spain 65-52 in the.
That's low scoring.
Yeah, it's reasonably low, but at the same time, I think the quarters maybe a little bit shorter than the NBA because the NBA is 12 minutes, I think.
12.
12, and it's 10, I think, for the.
Well, that's still the NBL's 10-minute quarters. We're still hitting up 9 points.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, it was a low-scoring game. But I think you can't go past France against Serbia. I mean, Serbia beat Brazil 84-56. But yeah, I think France will win that. But then, obviously, I think I can't see the US losing.
I'd like to see them get knocked off their perch just once.
Once. Definitely.
I love how they call them the dream team, and just see them come through and just lose. It'd be
nice, but personally, I don't see it happening. They've dominated every team they've played. I mean, they beat Slovenia 119-76, Mexico 86-63, and if they really turn it on, I think they've got it pretty easy.
And do you reckon Australia, just going back, do you reckon they'll actually cop anything, cop a fine, cop a suspension, or do you think this will get put on the rug and just sort of go away over time?
Well, they'll investigate, but I don't know what solid proof you're going to have that they tanked. So
it'll be pretty hard, especially as you said, they played three games in 3-4 days.
That's why they rested, and then they lost by 15 points up. That happens. Well, that's not the first time, and that's 5-3. I mean, I know that's not easy.
Not easy to do, but it's possible.
It's not that much in basketball that happens.
Minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Let's hope not. But at the same time, Australia, it's not really the Australian way. So yeah. Anyway, we'll head to an ad and then we'll come back with lastly the gridiron.
In the heat of the action, every choice you make has a huge impact.
You've got to make the right decisions. If you want to be a game changer,
you can't afford to take unnecessary risks
or rush into something that you might regret.
Whether you're in heavy traffic or you've got room to move,
you still have to be in complete control.
Just one decision, one small thing,
one lapse in concentration,
and your whole world could change.
And welcome back to Ozsports FM. You're here with Jeremy and Ben. We're here to talk about the South Australian Gridiron League. We had 2 games over the weekend. We had the USA Eagles, who defeated the South City Chiefs 22-14, and the Spartans beat the Oilers 13-6, I believe. I can't really read that writing, but I think that's 13.
That was me writing that at the end. And then this week we've got the Razorbacks playing the Oilers and the Eagles playing the Spartans.
And you can catch the action at the Maroon Sports Complex on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. So just coming soon, Ozsports FM will be broadcasting live from Gridiron SA Games every Saturday on Ozsports FM, your online sports radio channel. So go to www.Spreaker, Spreaker.com and search Ozsports FM.
And that's it for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly did. We had a bit of banter. We loved it.
Bit of a laugh today.
Unfortunately, Henry wasn't here this week, and I believe he will not be here next week again. So you'll be catching us to the same time next week. Have a good day.
Yeah, catch you later.